Brittney Griner will be coming home due to the negotiations of the Biden administration with Russian officials, and it is a prisoner swap. We'll get into a few different elements of it. One of the downsides or unfortunate parts of this news is that Paul Whelan, who was also a part of this negotiation, has not been able to be secured to come back. So it is Brittney Griner for Victor Bout. That's it. But again, we'll discuss that further. Here's this being announced on CNN.
NBA star who has been detained in Russia since February has been released in a prisoner swap with arms dealer Victor Bout. She is now in U.S. custody. Our team of reporters and analysts standing by. We're going to start now with Kylie Atwood at the State Department. Kylie, hello, welcome to you. What do we know at this point?
Yeah, well, we've just learned from a U.S. official, as you said, Brittney Griner, after about 10 months of being in Russian prison, is now free. She is in the custody of U.S. officials. We're expecting to hear from President Biden today, according to that U.S. official. And a source familiar tells us that this was a prisoner swap. It was for Brittney Griner for Victor Bout. And just to remind folks who Victor Bout is, he is an infamous arms trafficker. He is serving a 25-year prison sentence here in the United States, and he is someone that the Russians have been wanting for a while. Now, of course, Griner is a very famous basketball star, and there has been an immense amount of public pressure on the Biden administration to secure her release. But guys, notably this morning, we're not hearing that there is any news on Paul Whelan, and Paul Whelan is another American who has been wrongfully.
Absolutely. So the situation pretty much is that Victor Bout is international arms dealer, bad guy, and he was convicted of charges that he should have been. Whereas Brittney Griner, Paul Whelan, not so much. This is more Russia trying to gain that leverage through their detainment. And unfortunately, they were able to use that leverage to then get Victor Bout back to Russia. But here's Biden addressing why the other individual that was in this negotiation process at different points in time, Paul Whelan, didn't end up getting secured as well.
We never forgot about Brittney. We've not forgotten about Paul Whelan, who's been unjustly detained in Russia for years. This was not a choice of which American to bring home. We brought home Trevor Reed when we had a chance early this year. Sadly, for totally illegitimate reasons, Russia is treating Paul's case differently than Brittney's. And while we have not yet succeeded in securing Paul's release, we are not giving up. We will never give up.
And this is where a lot of the conservative criticism has focused in on, saying that Biden is in the wrong for not being able to also get Paul Whelan back. I think without understanding the specifics of the negotiation, it would be hard to tell if there were wrong decisions made on the Biden administration's part, if they could have used more leverage. Hard to really know. I do expect that if they ended up getting Brittney Griner back and not attaching it completely inseparably from Paul Whelan's release as well, there was a reason for it. And this was the way to at least get Brittney Griner back as of now, and they'll continue to work on Paul Whelan. But here's kind of the nature of criticism you'll see on Fox News in relation to the subject.
Look, I share your sentiment, Harris, that in the short term, I'm always pleased when we get an American home that's being unjustly held, and I'm happy for the Griner family. But in the long term, appeasing terrorists, appeasing dictatorships never works in the interest of the United States. And the whole reason that regimes like Russia, North Korea, Iran, the Taliban, and others participate in hostage diplomacy is, in the end, we always cave, we always make a concession, and we always win. Or they always win, and we lose. So my heart breaks for the Whelan family. I think, a lot of people are asking, and rightly so. So what was his crime? Not being a celebrity? Not checking enough boxes for Hollywood. The fact that we left a U.S. Marine behind and made this choice. And I don't buy the Biden administration and President Biden saying we didn't have a choice. When do we start dictating the choices to Putin and the Iranian regime and the Taliban, rather than letting them dictate what we do and who we give over?
Right, so that sounds really nice. I just don't know what that means in practice. What does dictating mean in practice in this type of situation? And oversimplifying a complex negotiation is a great way to then attack someone on grounds that don't actually make any sense. I wish Paul Whelan could have also been a part of this. It is wild that someone so horrible compared to two individuals who are not at all is the trade. It feels so aggravating that Russia's able to do that. But I also think the criticism of his was kind of confusing because he's saying any negotiations with them give strength to those that we don't want to have strength, but also we should have negotiated to get Paul Whelan. A little bit inconsistent there, but I think, I'll say again, if I could see the behind the scenes, maybe there's critiques to be made about the negotiation process, but generally I understand it's not like Russia is a reasonable actor, and so the fact that Brittney Griner is coming back is good, and hopefully Paul Whelan as well at some point. Here was Paul Whelan's response based on CNN's reporting to this news.
What did Paul Whelan tell you? How does he sound?
Well, Kate, he was disappointed that he had been left behind in this prisoner swap. He said he was surprised that he wasn't included in this, that he had gotten indications that things were moving in a good direction toward his release. And he said he's disappointed that more has not been done to free him from this penal colony. He's been there nearly 4 years now on espionage charges. He was charged to 16 years in prison for those charges that he vehemently denies. And he said he was very disappointed that he was left behind, though he was very happy that Brittney Griner got out today.
Absolutely cannot imagine from his perspective, especially because there was talks, I remember reporting on it, of maybe both of them being the trade for Victor Bout. And so if that was where his mindset was, his hopes, devastating, absolutely devastating. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before any of the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get access to an extra full show every Saturday that only members can see, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley, and there is a link in the description.